Welcome. My guest today have a quite exceptional story. He is a business executive and CEO, and he has now added a title who is called Business Shaman. Welcome, Henning Romero.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
What brought you from being a serious business executive to add shamanism to your repertoire?
The main reason was 10 years ago, I had what we call a burnout, meaning that I hit the famous wall, and I was out of work for about a year. That makes you to stop and think, to evaluate where you are. At the same time, I was going through a divorce, and being a founder, I didn't have any company to work for when I was having the burnout. So to top it all, I went into what you call existential crisis, meaning that you lost yourself more or less. Typically, when you meet a new person, you say, "Hello, my name is Henning." And the follow-up questions is usually, "So what do you do for a living?" And I couldn't answer that anymore. So the burnout was the big change for me.
Tell a little bit about your experience as a business executive.
Yeah, for the last 25 years, I've been a serial founder of mainly IT companies. Some of them have grown quite well. We have listed two of them on the stock exchange. One of them has been sold to a Fortune 150 company. And based on that, I either worked with my own money or we invited investors. And that environment can be quite brutal if you don't get the results that is expected. So for the 15 years I've been being in that area, working international, been working in US, in South Africa, China, all over Europe, Brazil. So I've more or less been in that environment for 15 years until I hit the wall then in 2009.
Mm-hmm. What was the main factor who opened your eyes for the metaphysical, or in this case, shamanism?
Especially for the business shamanism side, it was in 2005 when I was living and working in Beijing in China. I was working with services for the media companies. The media companies, at least was then, quite controlled. So it was more like the typical Chinese structure in those companies. One of the companies we visited and tried to get as a client, we had several meetings with over a long time of period. In those meetings, they had a person that joined the meeting, but at the same time, he really didn't join. He sat in the corner and just observed what was going on. So I think we were in average 5 to 6 people in those meetings, and this went on for about a year. When we finally got the contract in place and we had a celebration dinner, of course the advisor in the corner was not part of the dinner, but then I approached my main contact and asked him about that person that has been joining the meetings, what his role was and so on. And then he just told me that he was the spiritual advisor. So he was obliged to be in all of the meetings with external partners. And if he hadn't seen what he wanted to see, that we were trustworthy, that we had the good intentions for the meeting, etc., it probably wouldn't be a meeting number 2, 3, and 4. So that was the knowledge I brought into the burnout period, where I need to rebuild myself. And I still love being in the business environment, but I also saw that this could be a potential bridge to bridge the metaphysical with our physical environment within business.
Mm-hmm. And one of the stories I cover in my book, Beyond Positive Psychology, A Journey from Burnout to Enlightenment, who will arrive on the market at autumn 2018, is at one of the seminars, one of the first seminars you attended with me. And you told me already in advance and said, Pål-Esben, even if you are an engineer and very pragmatic, I will not believe anything before I see objectively measurable results. So show me the results and I will believe, you told me. And at one of the first seminars, you got the possibility to really show this, and it was more than 80 people. It was doctors there, psychologists, physiotherapists, and a lot of others. And you was picked out to do one of these treatment without touching the client. You should move the body objectively, so it changed, and during a couple of minutes treatment. And this was a quite exceptional experience. Will you tell about it?
Yeah, that was actually the first real result that I experienced that I couldn't explain. I tried to explain it 1,000 times to see if there were another logical reason behind it. But so far I haven't found that. So that has been a battle with my ego. And this is one of the results that I just have to believe that what we're doing is getting measurable results. Actually, that person, you could send in an X-ray machine, we can do the treatment and then X-ray again, and you will see the difference in the body. So that has helped me a lot because there's a lot of doubt, especially when I'm going from let's say day-to-day business where there's a lot of meetings and I really don't have time to catch up and balancing with other work I'm doing as a business shaman. Then the ego starts to get control and telling me that, okay, isn't it? Can't you just focus on what you can prove and where you have your brand, where people know you, you have your titles, etc. It's so much easier. But I also see that having results like this, having the experience I had in China, knowing what the downside can be if there is a new burnout, that keeps me going on and develop the business shaman side as well.
Mm-hmm. And you have been educated now for several years, and as the CEO and a business shaman, you already have done some quite impressive work. And one of the top Fortune companies in US you also have been working for as a business shaman. Tell about the story.
Yeah. So first of all, the company doesn't market that they have hired a business shaman because it's still for the very early adapters in the market. But they're using all kind of advisors, and business shamans is one of them. So one of the first professional tasks I had as a business shaman was working with HR, the human resources, for a Fortune 150 company when they were hiring directors. So the advices I came with on the side, and we don't claim that is 100%, but it's pretty accurate, proved to give them a new insight on their process with hiring key personnel. Mostly I've been working with the companies that I partially own or own myself, with all different kind of techniques. Some of these companies is working international, where there is different cultures. It's harder to understand where the potential customer or the potential partner is coming from. What's the background of their evaluations? Do they have the same picture as we have? All of those aspects gives us, let's say, a third dimensional view on where we are, which is a very good guide moving forward for us.
Mm. And with all your work, you use the same model I describe in the book, where we take the best from the modern world, also with the science, with technology, philosophy, wisdom, and combine this with the ancient part, in this case shamanism, to obtain objectively measurable results. And one of the main topics in the book is change, that the world is changing rapidly, much faster than ever in history. And I guess this is also the same with companies. They have to learn to adjust to the extreme change in society. Tell a little bit about what you offer and how you help companies in their changing process.
So there's different methods depending on if the change is based on that they need to change because they are having challenges with their existing business model, or if they are a more innovative approach where they want to expand their company into new areas. So there's different methods we're using there. To take the first example, with a company struggling, then we go in and analyze why is it struggling on the more metaphysical area, and what do we see. We have visual pictures that we work with to see the status quo. We can see if we change something, what's the outcome most likely to be. So that's one side. If you're working with a more innovative environment where you're going to try to get new opportunities for the companies, there's different tools again. There's tools for opening the minds to be more creative for the management and their employees. There's structures where we can go in and see, okay, you have 3 ideas that you think after a long time of analysis, etc., that you want to go for, but can only choose one. What will the results be for number 1, 2, and 3? So we can give a third view into the process, which can open. It really makes the business to see another perspective.
So what you offer is the more than 2 decades of experience as a top executive, additionally to the metaphysical field, and you combine this together in a unique manner to create then better results for your clients. And one of the other things you have a lot of experience with is also burnout. And in the business world, this is also a larger and larger problem. And you also offer help for both companies and individuals who need to prevent burnout or who they need to help to get out of burnout.
You see, the most important part for a company is the employees. So if you are in a situation where there is many potential burnouters, that eventually will hurt the company quite bad. So it's a very natural thing for me to work with the companies as an entity in their self, but in that company there's a lot of entities in the people. So you have to work with both of those areas, and burnout is one of those key factors.
And a personal question to you: are you not afraid that you, as a serious entrepreneur and business executive, would, let's say, have problem with what other people think about you when you also say that additionally I'm a business shaman?
Absolutely. So and fear is a part of our life. So but we have to control it. But of course there's a downside. It would be much easier for me to not talk about it, not inform anyone what I'm doing, and just continue to do it with my own companies. But for me, it's to share that knowledge, share that experience. I think it's important. Also during the burnout, I had a goal after the burnout, because what put me into the burnout was that there was a lot of people depending on me, on the results that we should produce, and also me, of course, depending on them. Talking about banks, investors, which is very, very important for a business. But for me, it was also important that I had the freedom to choose. that I can choose the direction I want for myself. And now I'm there where I can choose the right direction without someone complaining. And then based on all the examples I have, there is so many situations, and this interview would be hours if we should go through every one of them, or even days. But that is also puts me in a comfort zone when I can go into a new business and I know that what the challenge is or what I see, I already have experienced that. So that gives me a little bit more comfort, but still, yeah, it's a bit scary.
This I can imagine. And I guess to have business shamans in companies is very usual in the Asian countries, but in Europe and maybe US and other English-speaking countries, it's maybe not so normal or not so usual. But there is much more companies who uses this kind of, let's see, help than we think. Especially in Europe, I know several huge companies who is using business shamans actively, and also in Norway and other countries. But most don't want to talk about this because it's still then recognized as something who is a little bit unserious. But your exceptional results practically in your businesses and other businesses shows the opposite.
But it's fully understandable that they don't want to talk about it yet. I think it will be much more normal. And when I'm entering companies, they think I'm just one of the other consultants that they have on the lawyer side or on their other advisory board. Because I'm coming from the business. I'm a business guy. I know how to dress. I know how to behave. But usually I give other devices that I normally did.
Thank you very much, Henning, for sharing your experience, and I wish you a lot of fun and a lot of success with everything you do.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.